Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad that you could all join us this fine Wednesday morning. At least it is sunny outside today here in Nairobi. Hope everyone is doing well. So we're a good number now. We should be able to start. So hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Mitch Kaniaru, and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, you do know during these webinars, we as the Afriforex team, we analyze the market, we identify what trading opportunities we are taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, not here alone. We do have John, who is in the back office. So he'll be here to assist in whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat box, and John will respond to you. But remember, I will also respond to all the questions that are asked on the Q&A section. So let's jump straight into it. And apologies for starting a few minutes late. There were some fundamentals coming out at 9 o'clock, which was just a few minutes ago, which we needed to adjust the watch list slightly. So looking at our watch list for today and comparing it to yesterday. So yesterday, our focus was to look for buying opportunities on the Japanese yen, the US dollar, the Swiss franc, and the British pound, and we were mixing and matching them with the pairs on the sell side. So you can see today, we're still going to be looking for buying opportunities on the yen, the US dollar, as well as the Swiss franc. However, the British pound fundamentals have changed. So the British pound now has moved to the sell side. So this is going to be our watch list for today. In terms of more fundamental today, you can see there were these fundamentals that came out at 9 for the British pound. You can see they're all negative. So we are expecting some weakness potentially on the British pound pairs, but we also do have some more news at 3 o'clock. So we'll see what ends up happening, as well as at least we do have some fundamentals coming out during the London session. So hopefully we should see some volatility in both the London and the US session today. So we'll jump into the pairs that we did have yesterday that we're not going to be looking at today, see what we could have done better, or at least what we should have avoided if there was anything like that. Before we do end up having a look at a few screenshots, then we will focus on today's pairs. So we'll start off with the pairs for review. So we'll start off here with the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Remember, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities, and you can see the 3 areas that I had pointed out. Now, early in the morning, the price did look as if it was coming back towards this particular area, just missed slightly. So just at 10 o'clock, in fact, the price had already gone all the way back up in the seller's area. So during the London session, no buying opportunities since we're within a seller's area. And you can see during the London session, the price actually continued pulling back throughout the whole session. At 3, it came down, but at 4:30, the price was within the buyer's area. But remember, we always mention, and you can even see the way I illustrated here, when we do end up seeing some sort of probe, you can see that's exactly what happened, where the price probe to the downside, came back in and held above before the price actually started continuing to go to the upside. We did miss that, and we were awake during the Asian session. You can see there was an opportunity once the price was able to actually break this area to the upside, and you can see on the pullback, the price was holding above, and you can see the price has managed to go all the way till the top area that we did point out. However, today, this pair is going to be off our watch list. You can see that British pound weakness actually coming in now. And that's the reason why there's a pair that we're not going to be looking at today. Now, the next pair we did have was the British pound against the Australian dollar. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for the buying opportunities. And you can see the 3 areas that I had pointed out. Now, yesterday, you can see during the London market open, the price actually started moving to the upside. Couldn't necessarily go all the way. You can see the price actually started pulling back, mainly during the London session. Throughout, you can see it was much slower in comparison to how these buyers came in. And you can realize that when the price was here, trying to give us a probe, that was at 4:30. You can see there was a nice trading opportunity, making sure to manage your trade up here. And I know John did manage to actually grab this trading opportunity. We'll end up having a look at it with the screenshots as well. But ideally today, you can see the fact that we're back within the seller's area, some weakness coming in. There's a pair that's going to be off our watch list for today. So moving on to the next British pound pair we did have. We also did have the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Remember yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. During the London session, the price was just holding below this particular area. No buying opportunity just yet. We needed either a breach to the upside or the price coming back in towards the buyer's area. You can see it did end up attempting to do that. So at 3 o'clock, we're still within a seller's area. We came down, came towards a small buyer's area, and at 4:30, that's when the price started going to the upside. So if you did miss that trade, you can see once the price was able to actually come to the upside, and hold above. Now, this was a bit later on during the day, but you can see there was another buying opportunity there, making sure to manage your trade within the seller's area. But you can see right now we're getting issues, and this is a trade that's going to be off our watch list for today. Now, last but not least, we also did have the euro against the British pound. In a similar situation, yesterday our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see during the London session, it looked like we were holding below within this area. Wanted to see the price come down lower. Unfortunately, could not. It seems that at 3 o'clock, the US market open did end up pushing the price up higher. It came back, coming close towards our main seller's area. But the fact that we're within this seller's area, and you can see the price was there at 430. That's when the buyer started slowing down. And you can see there was a small opportunity there. If that would have been a bit difficult, you can see once the price came back in, there was a hole to the downside. There was another selling opportunity to make sure that you manage your trade within that buyer's area. But unfortunately for us today, these are pairs that could potentially give us issues, and that's the reason why it is off our watch list. So that's all the pairs that we did have for review that we're not going to be looking at today. You can see a lot of trades did work out. So right now we'll end up having a look at a few screenshots because everything else that we were looking at yesterday is still on the watch list, but we have added a few more pairs. So we'll start off with the screenshots that we did manage to get. So we'll start off here with Claire. So Claire, happy to see a screenshot here. You did manage to grab a very nice selling opportunity on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. I also did grab a selling opportunity on this, which will end up trading you as well. But you got a very nice sell right there. Market is already started to come down in your favor. You can see you've already moved your stop loss to your break-even point. So very, very well done. Now you do end up hoping you managed your trade as it kept on going down, but we will end up having a look at it as well. So very, very well done on this trade, Claire. So next, we also did get Dan Bickett. We did manage to grab a nice selling opportunity on the euro against the Japanese yen. The yen pairs really did end up showing a lot of strength. And you can see you did grab the sell where the sellers are. Seems that the market is ranging and you got the sell within the top. Ideally, if it's in a range, you obviously want to grab your selling opportunity at the top there. You can see the price coming down in your favor. You've already managed the trade, making it a risk-free trade. So very, very well done on this pair. So also next, Dan, you also did get the NASDAQ. So you did manage to grab a selling opportunity within that seller's area. Very nice sell. I guess it was after this market did end up probing. You can see the price was already coming down in your favor. You've already managed the trade very well. Stop loss at your break-even point. Right now, you being at a buyer's area, that's definitely an area to manage. But I do know that you are one of the AFX students, so we know what you're doing actually. So very well done on this. Very good placement of your take profit within an area where they're buyers. Not necessarily trying to target all the way down lower, but I can see you do also have alerts to notify you when the price approaches those problem areas. So very, very good job on this trade, Dan Bickett. So also next, we do have John. So John, being part of the Afriforex team, he did manage to grab this buying opportunity. Remember, I did point out he did grab that buy on the British pound against the Australian dollar. Very nice buy right there after the market came down, giving us that probe, got the buy within a buyer's area. And you can see the price did manage to continue going up all the way till the take profit. And we have seen right now, the fact that the price is pulling back, it's a good reason why we always tell you manage your trade within those areas. But very good job on that trade, John. And we also have Mark. Mark Nori did manage to grab a nice selling opportunity on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Very nice sell right there at the top. You can see the price really going down in your favor. Stop loss is below your entry. It seems like we all got this Australian dollar against the yen pair, but very, very nice sell right there. Extremely at the top. So very well done on that trade, Mark. So keep up the good work that you're doing. So next here is my screenshot as well. I did manage to grab multiple selling opportunities on the Australian dollar against the yen. Mark did end up getting a much better entry than me, but that's okay. Still got to sell within the seller's area. Can see the price coming down, really came down, especially today during the Asian session. Australian dollar weakness, a lot of yen strength. And you can see the price really continuing, but I have managed my trade as well. Close some of my position as well. So this is a risk-free trade. The only thing that can happen here is either make more money or make the same amount. So I guess that is it for all the screenshots. So thank you guys so much for everyone who did manage to send them in to us. Really do appreciate it. So remember, if you do find any setups based on things that we do end up sharing today, feel free to send them in to us. We should have our contact details right there in the chat box, and we will be trying to at least help you. It doesn't need to be a proper trade or a good trade, whatever it is that you're doing, because only you can end up improving once you realize where you are. So feel free to send them in to us. You should find contact details right there in the chat box. So let's jump straight into today's pairs. So we'll start off with the yen pairs. We'll mix and match them with all these pairs on the sell side. Do the same thing with the US dollar, then move on to the Swiss franc before we do have a look at the indices, including gold and silver. So starting off with the yen pairs, we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. We can see the three areas that I had pointed out. Did point out that this price seems to have been in some sort of range, and it did end up bouncing off the top of the range, and that was during the London market open. You can see as the price is going up, you can see there were signs of big boy sellers when the price came down very aggressively in comparison to how the buyers came up. And once the buyers showed a slowdown, there was an opportunity there. Now, catching it during the US session might have been a bit difficult, but it seems that during the US session, that's when it actually started the move to the downside. It gave a slight pullback to this particular support and resistance area. You can see it right there at 430 before the price continued coming down. Once it did breach to the downside, you can see its market mainly moves during a market open. Like that's when you end up finding the most volatility, or at least a big boy at that point in time is going to attempt to push the market. So the fact that this price then ended up coming down within here, the Asian session did manage to continue pushing it down lower. So today, we're still going to be looking for those selling opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these three areas right now. Seems like the approach an area where there are buyers. Right now, what is happening, at least we're getting a pullback, which is what we want to see. We don't necessarily want to start jumping in on selling opportunities when the price is all the way down here. So let's see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in, potentially within this first problem area. We'll see what kind of reaction we do get. We do see a nice probe or price action signal or sign that big boy sellers are actually interested. Depending on the market open time, then we could end up finding a selling opportunity within this area. But if it doesn't react within this location, be aware that the price can still come back all the way to this red support and resistance area, and we will still be looking for those selling opportunities. So you might find during the London session, you could end up getting the price pulling back the whole time. Then during the US session, try and figure out where the price is for us to potentially look for those selling opportunities. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. So moving on to the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So this is the trade that I did manage to get, but you can see the price did end up approaching our sellers area right there. We did end up seeing aggressive sellers. You can see the way the sellers came down quite aggressive, and the fact that the market was just ranging. So let me just hide this. So you can see that the price within this small support and resistance area, the price was just holding within there. Price managed to break this area at 3 o'clock. You can see a pullback came in, testing and confirming that level has actually been broken. And you can see that happened at exactly 4:30. And that's when the main move really did start coming down lower. So the fact that the price has come down lower today, our bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. The levels seem to be a bit wide, but this is where the market has really been moving. So we'll still be focusing on selling opportunities. We'll be focusing on these three areas. So we have aggressive sellers right here at the top. So we'll be focusing and knowing that as long as we're holding below this red support and resistance area, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Let's wait and see how this pullback comes in. We'll watch to see how it approaches this first support and resistance area. If we don't see any reaction there, we'll wait to see whether or not we could end up getting the price all the way at the top. Remember, we always encourage to not chase the market because you're seeing the prices come all the way down. If you're selling again within this price, you're thinking it's going to go way further. Remember, we want a discount, at least get a pullback before we're able to continue with those selling opportunities. So hope that's clear on the Australian dollar against the yen as we move on to the next pair, which is the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. Can see similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Can see the fact that this price was holding above the support and resistance area that we did end up pointing out yesterday. Nothing happened during the London session, but you can see later on, I just need to zoom in a bit. Once the price was holding within this area, we did end up seeing the price actually breaking this area to the downside. And you can see on the pullback, the time that the price actually pulled back and was holding below, or at least confirming that that level has been broken, can see that was at 4:10. So that's the reason why we always point out these market opening times, 10, 3, and 4:30, because that's when you have a high likelihood of getting a nice trading opportunity. You can see the price continued going out during the US session. Similar situation. Once the Asian session did end up opening, you can see the price has continued coming down lower. But today, our bias here is still going to be looking for these selling opportunities. So we'll pretty much be focusing on these three areas. Right now, you can see the same correlation coming in with all these yen pairs. or they come down quite aggressive, even during the Asian session. But right now, some pullback does seem to be coming in. So don't jump in on your selling opportunities just yet. Let's see how far the pullback can come in. Watch to see the other pairs. We don't necessarily only need to look at, let's say, the Canadian dollar against the yen. If you see an entry signal, just enter that. Have a look at, if you see something on one pair, have a look at the other pairs. If they're doing something similar, then that gives you more confidence to your trade. So we'll be watching out for that. But for right now, the game plan is pretty clear cut. Let's wait for that pullback to come in and see how the market reacts within one of these market opening times. So next pair that we did have was the euro against the Japanese yen. Similar situation. Our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities. Can see the sell right there did work out during the London session. It seems this being the euro. And it did end up working out quite nicely, coming all the way down. And you can see, if you did miss that opportunity, once the price was able to come down, break this area to the downside and hold below. If you notice the time, market opening time, it was actually 3 o'clock. That did give us an opportunity there. Or at 4:30, that's when the market really did take off to the downside. So you can see that did end up working out. Unfortunately, we could not get a pullback coming back towards the support and resistance area. Pullback was just very shallow before the price actually continued coming down low. But today, the bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. Guess sounding like a broken record because we are dealing with the yen pairs and they are correlated. So the story is pretty much the same. We did end up getting the price coming down lower. We're getting a pullback right now. Let's see how it approaches these problem areas. We do see some sort of probe, the price action signal within one of these locations, then we could definitely be looking for those selling opportunities then. So last but not least, for the yen pairs, we do have the British pound against the Japanese yen. These are brand new entries on our watch list. Remember, the British pound has just switched sides. So that's the reason why we were not looking at it yesterday. But today, our bias is going to be looking for those selling opportunities. Here, the yen is showing quite a bit of strength, as we've seen on all of them. But the game plan is pretty much similar. Right now, the way the buyers have come in, do not start jumping in on yourselves yet. Would not necessarily encourage you also to just jump in on buys, the counter trades, because we don't know how far the market could go. We've seen multiple times where the price looks as if it's approaching that area, or at least an area where you're thinking the market could come down. It just misses it slightly before it actually starts going down. So if you're in on a buy, which is a counter, you're trying to target here, you end up entering a trade, you forget about the sell, you end up actually getting stopped out on your buy and you miss the main selling opportunity there. So that's the reason why we'd always encourage, just stick with one main direction, the flow of the market. Remember, they always say the trend is your friend. So right now, the fact that we're going to the downside, let's wait for this pullback to end before we're able to continue with those selling opportunities on the British pound against the Japanese yen. So I hope that's clear on all the yen pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the yen with all the pairs on the sell side. So right now, we're going to do the same thing with the US dollar pairs. Then after that, we move on to the Swiss franc pairs. So moving on to the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Not necessarily much happened, but you can see when we're having this session early in the morning, around 9 o'clock or so, you can see the price was within this seller's area. Did point out that we want to see maybe some sort of probe coming in because it did mention that this price was not good enough. And you can see the probe did come in later on where it attempted to break to the upside, but when it came back in, it was actually holding below at 3 o'clock. So there was a small selling opportunity there. Unfortunately, you can see the big boy sellers haven't really been able to take this price down lower. Still managed to only get towards this particular location, potentially in some sort of small range, bouncing between these levels right here. So overall, our bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities, still focusing on the same areas. We do have some US dollar fundamentals coming out later, so we could end up maybe finding that that's when this price will actually start moving. But overall, our bias here, since it's still going to be looking for those selling opportunities, let's wait to see if we can end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal. Similar story to what we're looking at yesterday. So if we do get something similar to that, then potentially we could end up having a selling opportunity, but we do need to make sure to manage your trade within this bias area. There's a reason why the price is bouncing off there. Not too sure why, but just know that that's an area that's giving you issue. So definitely make sure you manage your trade within that location. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Nothing much happened yesterday. But let's hope to see if we can find that movement today. It seems that the US dollars were showing a bit of strength the day before, but yesterday things were quite slow. So here we have the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Similar situation. Our bias was to look for selling opportunities, but you can see this price has just been ranging. Seems like it's holding between these levels right here. Even though the fact that this price has managed to bounce within this area, you can see at 10 o'clock yesterday, trying to come down. Similar situation during the US session. At 3, tried to come down, to not break this area. And the fact that we're still holding, chances are we might need a better price than this particular area. That means we'll still be potentially focusing on this particular location. So we'll be waiting to see potentially something like this, where the price could end up coming up a bit higher, inciting all those people who are thinking it's sell. Once the price goes above, it is right up here. Majority of those people will be thinking buys, but luckily that's not you guys. At least at that point in time, we'll be looking for those selling opportunities, especially if we see signs that the big boy sellers are coming back. So this will be the level we'll be focusing on, just adjusted the top level slightly. But overall, our bias here is definitely going to be looking for those selling opportunities. But right now, let's wait to see how far this market can actually give us in terms of a pullback before we're able to look for those sells. So hope that is clear on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So moving on to the next pair we do have. So we do have the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar pairs worked very nicely for us yesterday. Can remember the day before, we were also looking for buying opportunities on the US dollar against Canadian dollar, but the price was just ranging, just holding within this particular area. Nothing much happened. Can see yesterday, we're hoping to see whether or not we could end up grabbing that buying opportunity. In fact, the level was right here. Would have been a bit difficult to get because you can see the price is holding within this location. Did give us a probe, but the price came back in, so no buying opportunity just yet. But later on, you can see the price managed to break this area to the upside, and it was holding. It was holding that 3, but when it took off, it was at exactly 430. So that's the reason why we always mention if you're finding the prices within these interesting areas of interest within one of those times, and the price is either holding or just probed or giving us a break of certain levels, that gives us a very nice trading opportunity. So you can see the price really did go to the upside, showing us that Canadian dollar weakness. This is not necessarily the US dollar showing strength. But today, buyers here is still going to be looking for those buying opportunities. You can see we're getting a pullback, which is definitely what we want. And if you look and compare how these buyers managed to come up, you can see they came up with, I think, 3 candles, 3 15-minute candles. But look at how long it has taken just to get not even halfway towards that level. These sellers are very slow, meaning the buyers are still in. So they definitely want to look for at least continue those buying opportunities. But we need to see when they'll actually be interested. So if this price is not good enough, maybe they need a discount, a bit more of a discount. Maybe once the price gets to maybe a certain area and we see the buyers reacting, if we see the price holding above within this area, then we could definitely end up looking for a nice buying opportunity there. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Could end up happening here, but we have not seen any signs of big boy buyers just yet. But if we do see something like that, a probe will end up indicating. But usually when probes happen, you do find the opposite party coming in quite aggressive. So we could end up finding a very nice buying opportunity there. But be aware, just because the price could end up coming here, it could still grind all the way down lower. Coming back to this main support and resistance area, we can see based on our larger time frame, that's a level that was just broken to the upside. So there's a possibility we could still pull back to that location before actually going to the upside. So that's the reason why we encourage you, watch out for the market opening times and wait to see what ends up happening. Make sure you are definitely patient in this trading game. So moving on to the next currency pair we do have, this is the euro against the US dollar. Our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. Considering the London session, the price did end up attempting to come down. We did not get the price within our area of interest. And the fact that they tried to come down lower seemed to hold, but right now the way the price is pulling back. On a much larger time frame, this level hasn't fully been broken, especially due to the fact that the price has come just within this small area. This doesn't necessarily signify for us a breach per se. Right now, the way the price is giving us a pullback, chances are this price that we ended up getting, or at least the market tried to push down from yesterday, might not be good enough. So we could end up finding this price maybe needs to actually come in a bit higher to incite a few more people to look for those buying opportunities before the sell can end up working out. So we'll pretty much be focusing on the same areas. Obviously, where the price is at now, it is an area of interest, but would not be too encouraged to look for those selling opportunities there, especially if you consider how these buyers have actually come in. You can see how aggressive the buyers came in, and they're still coming in aggressive. So even though they're a bit slower than how they did come in before, there's still a possibility that we could still see another push of the buyer before the sales do end up coming. So this one will just be a bit patient and we'll wait to see what kind of pullback we do end up getting. But remember, us dealing with the euro right here, remember we do also have some euro fundamentals coming out later. So at 12.25, at 12.30, and at 1. So around that time, between 12 and 1, you might find that market actually moving. So it's not necessarily only the times you mentioned, 10, 3, and 4. You could end up easily finding it when there is actually a news event coming up. So hope that's clear on the game plan of the euro against the US dollar. We move on to the last US dollar pair, which is the British pound against the US dollar. This is a brand new entry on our watch list since both the British pound and the US dollar were both on the same side. And you can see the way the market was actually ranging, not necessarily going any clear direction. But today, since we do have our fundamental switching, and since we're going to be looking for selling opportunities on the British pound, we are starting to see that weakness coming in. This one looks pretty good, especially due to the fact that right now, we've just gotten a probe. And if you realize this probe ended up coming up a bit higher than this price, since you can see this price attempted to come down, they weren't able to. Right now, coming in a bit, inciting people to start jumping in on buys, especially those breakout traders. Right now, we are getting some sort of probe. So let's wait to see. We could end up finding a nice trading opportunity here. The price ends up slowing down and you see the price holding below. We could end up getting a nice selling opportunity here. So definitely this is something that I'll be looking out for. So potentially within the stop loss within there, ideally targeting all the way down here, at least that would give a risk reward of 1:2.9. But need to be confirmed that the price is actually going to hold below this area. So if you see the price ending up coming back in and it comes up and actually holds to the upside, then that there's no trade at that point in time. Maybe you could find that it needs to end up giving more of a pullback before later on, maybe during the US session, the price actually starts taking off. So wait to see what ends up happening. But also remember, at 3 o'clock, we do have some more British pound fundamentals, which is also the US market open. So you could find that even though there might be a signal now, you could end up finding later on during the US session, that's when the price might actually really start taking off. But we'll wait to see what ends up happening. But that is the game plan for the British pound against the US dollar. So that's it for all the US dollar pairs. So you can see we've mixed and matched the US dollar and the yen with all the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to do the same thing with the Swiss franc pairs. So starting off with the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Can see the three areas that I had pointed out. Hoping to see the price get towards the seller's area right there at the top. Could not, can see at 10 o'clock. Tried to come down low, did not necessarily do much. But the fact that the buyers attempted to go up higher, couldn't do it. This one was a bit difficult to get due to the fact that we did not get the price all the way at the top there. But you can see during the US market open, price didn't manage to come down from 3 o'clock, continued holding until the Asian session, which did manage to actually break this area to the downside. You can see the break and the hold below, but the price actually started continuing to come down lower. So today, buyers is definitely still going to be looking for those selling opportunities. The New Zealand dollar is showing weakness, but also at the same time, the Swiss franc pairs are actually showing a bit of strength. So we'll definitely be looking for those selling opportunities based on these three areas. The fact that the market seems to have been in a range within this location. What's most likely to happen could end up getting this price giving us a pullback, confirming that this level has actually held below. And there we could end up finding a very nice selling opportunity on the New Zealand dollar against Swiss franc. So this one will be quite interesting to see what ends up happening. You can see in these situations, you can just set alerts within those locations so you can end up doing other things. Once you hear an alert, you're able to identify that the price is within that area. Just because you're alerting doesn't mean that it's an automatic sell. Ideally, at that point in time, you want to see how the buyers are reacting and whether or not the sellers are actually going to show themselves. And if they do, then you could end up finding a nice selling opportunity on the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. So moving on to the next Swiss franc pair, we do have the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, you can see the three levels we did have. Now, buyers will look for selling opportunities. It is still the same levels that we're going to be looking at today. But yesterday, the trade did work out quite nicely. So yesterday, we can see at 10 o'clock, price gave us a small probe, bouncing within this particular seller's area. The sellers came down, and there was a pullback, confirming that this price is actually holding to the downside. And you can see at 3 o'clock, that's when the price actually started taking off. So just slightly earlier, around 4 o'clock, sorry, 2 o'clock, sorry, just an hour before the US market opened. The price did spike within that area, but you can see it was still holding within that location. It only started really moving once the US market came in. So from 3, that's when we can see the big pushes to the downside. So today, you can see the price did end up attempting to come down. The way the price did end up coming down, this ended up looking like a probe. And if it is a probe, then chances are we could still be in some sort of range. So if that's the case, we'll wait to see whether or not we could end up getting the price coming back in and holding within this area for us to look for a selling opportunity. But be aware, the price could easily also do something similar to this, where it looks as if it's going up. Then if it comes down and actually holds below, because you can see right now, we're not necessarily getting a hold to the downside. So that makes it a probe, meaning the level is still holding. But once we do end up getting the price actually reaching and holding below, then we should be able to look for those selling opportunities. But for now, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Possibly wait for a better price within this top area right there. So hope that's clear on the game plan of what we're looking at doing on the Australian dollar against Swiss franc. So moving on to the Canadian dollar against Swiss franc, this pair, our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities. Still did work out quite well, just adjusted the levels slightly. But you can see the levels that we had pointed out at 10 o'clock. We're hoping to see the price giving us more of a pullback, coming back within the seller's area. Unfortunately, that did not happen. You can see the price did continue grinding down lower. During the US market open, you can see 3 o'clock, the price did manage to actually break this area to the downside. Once it did that, could have waited for a pullback, and you can see the pullback came in and the price was like holding there at exactly 430. There was a very nice selling opportunity there, and you can see the price didn't manage to continue coming down there. However, today, BAS is still going to look for selling opportunities, just needed to adjust the level slightly based on major areas that we have noticed. And you can see something similar coming in, also we've seen on the Australian dollar against Swiss franc, where the price looks as if it's breaking this area to the downside, but it's just actually some sort of probe, meaning we'll definitely need a better price. So we could end up getting this pullback coming in within this first support resistance area. We'll wait to see what ends up happening within this location. We do see the buyers coming in slowly, then holding to the downside, then we definitely could be looking for a nice selling opportunity there. But for right now, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Something similar to what could end up happening on the Australian dollar against Swiss franc, where if the price comes back in and actually holds to the downside, then there's potential for a selling opportunity. But if you are doing that and you're entering the more conservative entries, you can see the fact that the price has reacted from here. Even if you get your entry there, do make sure you manage your trade within that area. You don't know whether or not the buyers could end up getting interested again to actually take it up. So just make sure you manage your trade within that area. If you see the price is coming in aggressive and is able to break that location, then you should be good to go. But if it's not, then do make sure you manage, at least at that point in time, move your stop loss to your break-even point, just in case the price doesn't end up pulling back up. So hope that's clear on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. As we move on to the next Swiss franc pair we do have, this is the euro against the Swiss franc. You can see that Swiss franc strength that really did come in. So yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. So you can see the 3 areas that we had pointed out. At the top level, the price never actually got towards that area. You can see it did point out that the price, the way it was coming up aggressive during the session that we're having, when we're having this yesterday, did point out due to the fact that within this seller's area, let's see what kind of reaction comes in. And it seems that the London big boys were very much interested in this. You can see the price continued coming down lower. Do not necessarily give us much of an opportunity there, or at least you need to know a lot more detail within that particular area to grab that sell. You can see later on, it still did give us an opportunity. Once the price broke this area to the downside, you can see there was a pullback. The price actually held below that area. It was at exactly 3 o'clock. That did give us an opportunity to look for selling opportunities. If you did miss that, you can see at 430, it's still breaking these support and resistance areas, pulling back, confirming that those levels have been broken. You can see the prices continuing to come down. So today, price is, or at least the bias here, we're still definitely going to be looking for selling opportunities. You can see these pullbacks that are coming in is definitely something to do with the Swiss franc pairs, because we have seen that correlation coming in on all the other Swiss franc pairs. You can see on the Canadian dollar against Swiss franc, the way the price is coming up. Similar situation with the Australian dollar against Swiss franc, the way the price is coming up. So you definitely know this has something to do with the Swiss franc pairs. So it's not yet time to look for those selling opportunities just yet on these pairs. Let's wait to see these pullbacks coming potentially within one of these support and resistance areas. Remember, if this level doesn't hold and come to the downside, then chances are we could end up getting the price coming in all the way at the top. So we'll be watching out for that on the euro against the Swiss franc. So last but not least, for the Swiss franc pairs, we do have the British pound against the Swiss franc. This is a brand new entry in our watch list. And our bias here is to look for those selling opportunities. So you can see these are the three areas that we have pointed out, or at least have identified. Right now, the fact that the price has come back in, or at least has come towards this area, ideally, we should be able to break this area to the downside, continue going down lower. Ideally, remember, this market should potentially end up just giving us this one pullback. If the price has given us this pullback, has attempted to come down, has not been able to make a new low, then remember, maybe we need a better price than this. So chances are, the fact that within a buyer's area, I won't be surprised if I do end up seeing something like this, where the price looks as if it's going up higher, going above this level. All the breakout traders start looking for those buying opportunities. And that's when you find the sells coming in, price holding below, and you could end up getting a nice selling opportunity there. So that's exactly the game plan that I'll be waiting for. Either breach the downside, or chances are getting a pullback coming in within this area before we go to look for those selling opportunities. So hope that is clear on the game plan of the British pound against the Swiss franc, looking for those selling opportunities based on those levels. So that's it for all the currency pairs. As you can see, mix and match all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to have a look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the NASDAQ, the NAS 100. So yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Fortunately, the sales didn't fully come in. I know Dan Bickett didn't manage to grab a selling opportunity there. Remember, I did point out the fact that you were within a buyer's area. I do end up hoping you managed your trade. It didn't matter how aggressive the sellers came in. Make sure you do manage, because I know your take profit was within this buyer's area. But I think already your stop loss was already below your entry. So at least it was a risk-free trade. But it seems that the big boys not yet ready to actually take this price down lower. You can see even after this push to the downside, and let's go quickly to the 1 hour time frame. You can see it's very clear cut the way the sellers came down, quite aggressive. And look at how long it has taken for the buyers to even just go to the upside. Quite long. So there's a possibility that we could still even be coming back all the way to the main sellers before we do end up seeing the price coming down lower. So going back to the 15-minute, that's the reason why at least here we'll be able to see a lot more detail. We'll still be looking for those selling opportunities. Definitely watching out within this area right there for our potential sells. Right now, the sellers do not look as if they're actually there. You can end up with something visual by looking and comparing to how these sellers down here, look at how aggressive they are, look at the size of the candles, they're quite big. Now, the question is, would you say these sellers coming down are these exact same sellers? I don't really think so. You can see how long it's taken to come down, how much it's struggling. That means the big boy sellers are not yet in. So that's the reason why I'm possibly expecting the price to definitely come in a bit higher, maybe incite a few more people to buy, but I want to see those buyers struggling. If I see the price coming back in and I see aggressive sellers, so sellers similar to how these sellers came in, then I would potentially end up looking for a selling opportunity there. But remember, with the US, the NASDAQ 100, if we break and hold above the red support and resistance area, at that point in time, we will turn into buyers. So hope that is clear on the NAS 100 as we move on to the US 30, the Dow Jones. So remember yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Can remember, I did point out that this market did end up giving us a probe, and the fact that the price is holding below this area could end up getting a nice selling opportunity as well. Can see it did end up probing multiple times at 10 o'clock during the London session. Price came up, came back in, seemed to have been holding below, but it was not necessarily going to take off until one of the market opening times. So you can see at 3, it incited people to actually end up looking for buying opportunities. You can see how these buyers were coming up. So if you do look at the price, or at least the time at 3, this is now the price that is looking as if it was going to the upside. So at that point in time, that could have been a bit risky, at least looking for your selling opportunity there. But you can see once the sellers came in, and if you notice, that was at exactly 4:30. And then we compare how those sellers came in comparison to the buyers, those are big boy sellers right there. And that could have given a very nice selling opportunity once the price did end up holding the downside, coming down, making sure to manage your trade within this problem area. You can see the reason why we encourage waiting for a level to actually be reached and the price to hold. As you can see, the price came down, could have managed within this area right here. We did end up attempting to come down again lower, but you can see on the pullback, the price never held below. So meaning this was a probe. And you can see the confirmation that we're getting today that this level is still holding within that location. So overall, we'll definitely still be looking for selling opportunities in this pair, as long as we're holding below the red support and resistance area. So we'll be waiting to see whether or not we could end up getting more of a pullback. Never know whether or not the price can end up pulling back all the way to the extreme, but chances are it might not. If we do end up seeing the prices coming in and holding below, then we should be able to also look for selling opportunities. The reason why I'm saying it might not, even though we have the main seller right there, watch out for this area. You can see this is a support and resistance area that the seller did reach the downside. This might not be good enough, then we'll wait to see the price at this higher price. But do watch out for this location as well, just in case the sellers decide to take off from that area. So hope that is clear on the Dow Jones. So moving on to silver. So at least now back to the metals. So on silver, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today, looking for these sells. So at 10 o'clock, you can see the price was within this area, giving us a pullback. It attempted to approach the main sellers area right there. It was around 3 o'clock, 4:30. That's when it attempted to try and come down lower. So if you did end up grabbing a selling opportunity there, remember we mentioned, make sure you manage your trade within this problem areas, because you can see it looked as if it was attempting to break this area to the downside. It came back in, held above, meaning this level was not broken. You can see after that probe, the way the price seems to be going to the upside. So right now, it does look as if we're breaking this area to the upside. But remember, in order for a level to be broken, we need to get the confirmation that it has actually been broken by being tested. So meaning if we do end up getting the price coming back and holding above this red support and resistance area, then at that point in time, we'll actually start looking for buying opportunities and not sells. However, if we end up seeing the price coming back in, does not hold above, comes back in and it holds below, then that ends up being a very nice signal for us to actually continue looking for those selling opportunities. So right now we're at a very interesting area with silver. If we get the price holding above, we could find a very nice buying opportunity there. But if the price comes back in and holds below, similar situation, we could end up getting nice selling opportunity. So just be aware of this, potentially setting an alert within this location. So once the price approaches there, you'll be aware whether or not the price is actually holding above or breaching to the downside to confirm whether or not can end up actually continuing with the buy or actually moving with the sell. So I hope that is clear on silver. We'll wait to see what ends up happening during the day. So moving on, fan favorite we do have, which is gold. So remember, our bias yesterday on gold is to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that I had pointed out. Now, during the London session open, we're within the seller's area. Remember, wanted to see if we end up getting this price breaking and holding above this area, we could be able to look for buying opportunities. And you can see that's exactly what happened. So you can see later on, so during the London session at 10, the price started giving us a pullback. Later on, we did end up getting the price actually coming to the upside. So around 1 o'clock or so, but you can see as the pullback came in, the price confirmed it was holding above. And at that point in time, at 3 o'clock, you can see that's when the price started taking off to the upside. Now, later on, you can see at 4:30, it did end up giving us a pullback, but gold likes doing such things, coming back to extremes, maybe inciting all those late buys. And that's the reason why we always encourage, do not chase the market. So imagine if you were expecting a buy, and right now the price ended up being right there and you jumped in to buy. Yes, it would have been working, but at that point in time, where were all those people who are jumping in on buys right here, putting their stop loss? It was right below this particular area here. And you can see the price just came up, stopped them out. Most people at that point in time, once they stopped out, they stop thinking that it's a buy, actually start thinking it's a sell. Once they jump in on their selling opportunities, because remember, they're chasing the market, you'll find the price going up and stopping them out. So remember, always choose the main direction that you're going to go. Be patient and wait for price within those areas. Do not chase the market. If you see the price going up aggressive, wait for a pullback. If no pullback comes in, it's okay. You can end up finding another pair. Remember, you don't have to force on each individual currency pair that you're actually trading. But can see yesterday, although it probed quite nicely around 530, the price didn't manage to continue going up higher. So today, buyers is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. This breach is just happening as we speak. So remember, we're not too sure whether or not it's a full breach, because remember, on gold right here, on a larger time frame, we are in a big range. And you can see, even though we have the support and resistance area right here, this yellow line, you can see how many times that the price has actually been able to go up, come back in. Look at the extremes that it's been able to go. So right now, what it's doing now, you can see it's been done before. What it's doing now doesn't mean that the level has actually been broken. Remember, if the price comes back in and holds, similar situation to what it's done all these times, then we might find that the price could end up giving us more of a pullback before we're able to look for the buy. However, if we do find the price actually holding above this location, then at that point in time, we can be able to continue with those buying opportunities. So we'll be waiting to see what ends up happening. Definitely still for a buy, but we want to see whether or not we could end up getting the price actually holding above this area for us to continue with those buying opportunities on gold. So let's wait to see how this pullback comes in. So that's it for all the kinds of pairs, including gold and silver. So I can address any questions if there are any, and I'm not seeing any, which is okay. That's fine. I hope everyone has understood everything and everything is clear for everyone. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Remember, if you want more education, we do have the AMP course program that is ongoing at the moment. So there are only 2 more months of the AMP. Remember, we're here every day with the traders. We end up looking for opportunities for the whole month, mainly during the London session. So we'll be sitting down together for around 2 hours or so each and every day. We'll be going through each and every process of how to look for a trade, from the direction. How do you find the direction? How do you even figure out the levels that we keep on putting here? Those are concepts that we do end up showing within the AMP. So it's not that you have to be here every time. You can be able to do this as well yourself. So we go through that, show you how to find the numbers, the fundamentals, create your watch list, as well as showing exactly how we are looking for those trading opportunities each and every day. So if you are interested in something like that, feel free to sign up for the AMP program. You can end up going to Afriforex.com. You can end up, or you can find a link right there in the chat box. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, you should be able to find it in the description. So I guess that is it for me. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Hope everything works out well and you make a lot of money today. And especially, it's not necessarily also about the money, but make sure you do end up learning and improving your skill as a trader. Figure out what you did yesterday, learn from your mistakes. That's one thing, one big mistake many traders do. They don't learn from their mistakes. And that's why you always have to journal, review, and every time write down your trades, review what happened, what could you have done better, what did you do worse, change that, figure out what mistakes you make, because most of the times, most traders make the exact same mistake each and every time, and that keeps them in years of losses. So do make sure, review your trades. If you want more information and education, feel free to reach out to us. I did mention our contact details out there in the chat box. So once again, thank you guys so much. Have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading. And bye for now. Cheers, guys.